Not the time. Hello, my cat loving friends. We have a very special treat. We have been wanting to talk to Kate Benjamin from Hauspanther for the longest time. You know, we're always talking about enrichment, and she co-wrote Catification and Catify to Satisfy with Jackson Galaxy. She has some amazing, aesthetically pleasing cat furniture that you don't want to miss.
Yeah, look behind her.
I know, we cannot wait to talk to her. We're going to take a break for the sponsored ad, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to 19 Cats and Counting. I'm your co-host, Linda Hall, here with my lovely blonde BFF, Rita Reimers.
And I've just been joined by Dexter.
It's just going to say with a parrot, I mean a cat on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's a weirdo. He always has to ask if he can come into the office. He stands at the door and he just stands there. And I'm like, come on.
Polite.
Bizarre. Jet doesn't do that. That's the other black
he's not
cat.
polite.
But we've got Kate. I know. Right? I don't want to talk about my cats. Let's talk about Kate. And look at behind her. Talk about catification. Toledo.
Yes.
You people who are listening on radio, you'll just have to wait for the video version.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. You sound like exactly my favorite topic. Your favorite topic. So we're going to have fun.
You know, as so behaviorists, we're always talking about building up, we're talking about toys, we're talking about enrichment. And I know sometimes people have to be like, look, I called you out my cat peeing on my floor. Why are you talking to me about toys? But enrichment is everything. If they don't have it, we have behavior problems, guaranteed, right?
Absolutely. And so catification, the way Jackson and I define it, is kind of like a different spin on enrichment. So obviously, behaviorists and cat professionals have been talking about this enrichment for cats for decades, but they've always really focused, very importantly, on what the cat needs and not necessarily thought about what the humans need. So what we did, we kind of put that little spin on it and said, well, you know what? If we want people to actually do this, they have to like it as well. It has to work for them. So like for me, when I define good design, it's not just the aesthetics, it's also the functionality. So all the different elements that we'll probably talk about with enrichment and catification, they have to function for both the cat's needs and the human's needs. And the human has to want to do it. Otherwise, they won't do it. And then their cat won't have what they need.
Oh, that makes sense. So many people say, I don't want my house to look like, a bunch of cat trees all over the place. I want to have a beautiful home. And there are some beautiful cat furniture pieces out there. But I love both of those books. That gave me a lot of ideas.
Thanks. Well, the books actually are very DIY heavy. So it just gives you all sorts of examples that people have submitted, things that I've designed that really make you understand it doesn't have to look like a crazy cat on the couch. I've been doing this since 2007. So in 2007, I was looking for cool, nice looking, well-designed things for my cats. And I happened to be working in the children's product industry. I was the director of marketing at this company that made uber modern children's products.
Oh, wow.
So I was working with all the mommy bloggers, right? When that was like new and big. And I said, hey, how come these guys are talking about like, just because you have kids, your house doesn't have to look like a daycare center. And I said, nobody's talking about that for cat parents. So I started a blog. And I kind of searched the internet for cool things. And I had to search, but there was stuff in Europe and there were some small designers. And since then, the entire world has changed. There's zero excuse right now. No one can say, oh, I just can't find anything I like for my cat.
We agree.
There's everything.
Yes. And your stuff is better made too. I mean, Rita and I tease Rita all the time. I went to visit her one day and she had this cat tree.
I don't have it anymore. Full disclosure.
The cats had scratched all the carpet off and the inside looks like it's like a
toilet paper roll, paper towel tube. Yeah.
Cardboard thing.
It was starting to lean as it was bending.
It was little to a point. It looked like one of those cartoons where the beaver eats the tree and it's down to just a little point and it falls over. And I was like, oh my gosh. So here's the thing. You can easily, on the cheap end, spend $100 on a cat tree that's going to last 6 months before it becomes a beaver's chew toy, and then you pitch it and get another one.
And they all have carpet on them that gets dirty and it's hard to clean it. And, they vomit on it once and forget it.
Yeah.
I like
always
what's
looking-
behind you. It's not
Yes.
carpeted. Yeah.
Right. I'm always looking for non-carpeted alternatives.
Mhm.
Yes.
These hexagons that are on the wall behind me are from my zoo. And actually, this is a really good example. Like whenever we talk about catification, one of the things we talk about is the super highway, right? Which is the
Yes.
ability for a cat to navigate all the way around the room without touching the ground.
Right.
Yes.
And I always remind people, you don't have to go crazy and build that whole thing. Don't get overwhelmed. Just start with a small area. This is a very small wall behind me in my office. It's only about 3.5 feet wide. And so with just adding these different levels and hiding boxes and perches, there's a scratcher up at the top. This is like a clear dome that the cats can peer out of, like they're in a little spaceship. We have
I
made
love
this
that.
very small space extremely functional and usable by multiple cats. So it's a good example of like, just pick a little area and get
Yeah.
started. Don't get overwhelmed.
Yes. Yes.
I love that. I have a room, a huge room in the back. It's a bonus room above my garage. That was going to be the cat's playroom, but didn't work out that way yet. But one of the issues with that room is and some of these rooms too, it's got slanted walls. So I can't go way up at the top, but something like that would fit in to the lower part of the wall perfectly.
Yeah. And you know what? That's the other thing about the vertical world. It doesn't just mean up high above your head.
Mhm.
Some cats want to be off the ground, but not too high. Right. And so you can see here, we have all different levels. So that entire space, like right around, knee level, if you have wall mounted shelves and things, you might have those more earthbound cats who prefer to just be kind of up off the ground.
Yeah.
I love anything hung on the wall because it gets it off the floor. So you're not kicking it. You don't have to move it when you clean. So yeah, and things like this, just simple shelves or little hideaway boxes. The hideaway is such an important piece of enrichment for cats when they're in that enclosed space. So anytime you can give them a nice enclosed space, it prevents them from hiding under the bed, in the back of the closet, is where you don't want them. You want them accessible and you want them to be part of the action, but still give them privacy.
Oh, especially great for your pet sitters. So they go in, a shy cat under the bed, numerous times I've been through that scenario, trying to get a photo for proof of life without scaring the heck out of them, right? This would be much better alternative. Linda, how long did your shelves stay up there before the cats? It takes them a while to realize it's for them.
So admission, there were things I intended to do when I hung that hammock, like tease them up with a feather toy and yada yada, and I didn't. So yeah, it was probably sitting there for about 6 months before anyone used it, and that is completely on me. And then Soot decided it was her favorite place in the world.
Oh, I'm glad it's being used. What is happening there though is you do have a dead end. So that's something we talk about on the superhighway, especially in a multi-cat household, is that you want to make sure that they have multiple on and off ramps. So
one way up, one way out. I see what you're saying.
Yes.
But what it is having that nice hammock as part of your superhighway is what we call a destination. So along the superhighway, you can have rest stops. So like a little step, like a stepping stone to get to the next place, but you want to give them that goal. So it gives them that reason to go up those stairs because now that is the primo spot. Maybe it's the hammock, maybe it's a shelf under a windowsill or a big corner hideaway or something. So then that really makes the cats want to use the superhighway.
Yes.
So she needs an exit on the other side. Is that the problem?
Yeah, maybe put something down and go around behind the bed. Yes, exactly. That's perfect. Yes, I did think about that, like bullying, right? I mean, we look at that litter boxes and things, one way in, one way out. We got to have, and it is. It's a dead end. You're right. So yeah, we got to keep going with it a little bit. But yes, it used to like to go out and smack somebody and then run at full speed up and sit in the hammock, and you could swear she was kind of doing nanny boo boo, exactly like.
That's really fun. We have a whole new wall out in the dining area that has multiple lanes is what we call it, right? So if you just have a single lane, you need the entrance and exits, but the cat can choose to go up, go down, and so now you have multiple lanes. And so one of my cats starts out on the catio, and he races in and then goes boop, 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 and then lands on top of a bridge that goes across the opening into the kitchen.
Oh, how
That's
cool.
So I'll send you photos of it if you want to post them.
Ah,
It's
I'll tell you-
adorable. And that's his racetrack. Same thing.
I love it. I just did a social media video, and I tell all of our clients, the number one thing I think we humans do the most wrong is we're not replicating enough what a cat gets in nature, right? If you go to a wildcat sanctuary and you look in their habitat, you will not find a television and a couch. So our cats in nature are out and they're hunting their prey and they're torturing it, right? They're very sadistic. And
Yeah.
it's this whole big deal. And they're running around and they're doing this thing. And then they come in our house and we go, here's your dinner, honey. So, they're just not getting to use up all that pent up prey drive and all the zoomies and the hunting. I got to go hunt and do.
I'm watching
They're
your
not gonna
cats right
use
now.
it. I
Katie.
know. They're just not getting to use that up. So this is the way when you talk about zooming down the superhighway, use that energy up, girlfriend, because otherwise you're going to have potty problems or whatever, spraying,
chasing, arguing, one cat wanting to play
Fighting.
rougher than another, all the typical behaviors you see in I
Yes.
call these multi cat households.
Yes.
Yes. We are an advanced crew here, not
Yeah.
recommended for beginner.
Exactly.
Peter Cohen's got us beat. He's up to, since he just adopted
Batman.
I think he's up to 30
Oh, yes.
now.
Yes.
I knew he
yes.
was going to. He asked us about it during a Zoom we did with him. And we're like, if you really want him, well, no, I have another partner here. And next thing I see, he's there holding. And then next
Look,
thing I
it's
see,
Batman.
I knew it.
Yes. And he did talk about catification.
Right.
He's even got my favorite feature. He has a waterfall, which I would put in just for me.
Yeah.
But it's actually the cat's drinking fountain.
It's his whole house is incredible. It's in the second book. We
Is
did a whole
it?
photo shoot.
Yeah.
It's in Catified to Satisfy. Yeah, he's just amazing. I mean, he spent so much time on that house over the years, and he's got the right people doing the right things. He's done. That's definitely like, don't get overwhelmed.
Yeah, he's given us some advice for when we construct our sanctuary building.
Yes. Construction and his thing. So, okay. So Kate, let's say I'm on a budget and I want what you've got to offer so bad, but I'm going to have the electric shut off this month if I do it. So give me some ideas for catification on a budget.
Absolutely. Well, if you have an IKEA near you, you really can't beat it. They have a shelf. It's about 8 inches deep and about 24 inches wide. It's $3. They have a bracket that's $1. So for $5, you could have a nice little shelf, and then you go down to the doormat section of IKEA. They have a doormat for $1.50. You can cut with scissors, and you can, if you cut one in half the long way, you could cover 2 shelves for it. So
I
now
love
we're up to what?
this.
10, 11.50, 2 shelves with a non-slip surface already, and you can just stick that down with some double-sided tape. And you
I'm going to ikea.com. My IKEA is about 3 hours away from me. So
yeah, and why not just order online? You don't have to have one near you anymore.
Exactly.
And then the same thing, you can find simple pre-made shelves and brackets at any home improvement store. So Home Depot, Lowe's, at the hardware store.
Exactly.
You do want to think about adding that non-slip surface. So especially if a cat's jumping on or off of something.
Sure. Yeah, I see you've got them on top of.
Yeah, those are actually
hexagon.
peel and stick carpet tiles that you can get on Amazon.
Wow.
And so because the cats scratch on them, so when they get worn, you just peel them up and put a new one down. They're not very expensive.
I bet your dad could make those, Linda.
I
added those. Yeah.
I put a table because the shelves are too high, so I put a table down there. And those little jar opener thingies that you pick up all over the place?
Yeah.
We had a bunch left over from when Rito and Jess were cats pet sitting.
Boy, do
I put
we.
a little double-sided sticky tape on them and I put them on the table for traction.
The other thing is a yoga mat. So they're very inexpensive. They come in different colors.
Sorry,
easy
honey.
to cut with scissors, or use your old yoga mat and then it has your scent on it. So that will actually give the cat that ability to mix their scent with yours.
Oh, we talk about that quite a lot.
Yes.
Right, really important. So the scent soakers. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And over here, these are the deeper IKEA shelves. They're like 10 or 11 inches deep, but they're still only like $15-$20. And so
I'm like, IKEA is the place.
Yeah, I mean, IKEA has everything. I have a whole kit of like IKEA catification.
I'm sorry, my cat
I
stepped
love
on
it.
something. I can't hear you.
Well, I'll tell you,
There we go.
I had these awful,
Frozen.
like cheap plastic shelves in my son's bedroom when he was growing up, and they were primary colors like red and blue and yellow and green, and it looked like they belonged to a preschool room. So he's like 17, moving out of that room, going, I don't want these. So I stuck them in the hallway, intending to put them out on the curb, stay free. The cats thought they were the greatest cat shelves they'd ever seen. So I
Yeah.
took them in the backyard. I spray painted them seafoam. I wrapped sisal rope around
Yeah,
the
they're
poles.
great.
I stuck a couple cat beds on it, and I have a cat tree.
Next time you're down here, you're
Awesome.
building me one.
Yeah, no problem. They're like
That's my
25
favorite.
bucks.
If you
Yes.
either get something from IKEA, get something from the thrift store, and
Yeah.
anytime you can, add a soft mat, do that sisal wrap or anything. You maybe if it's a cabinet, you might need to cut a hole in it so they can go in and out, that kind of thing. I mean,
Yes.
there's just so many creative ideas.
That's
You
what I was
really
thinking
don't have
about.
to spend a lot.
So I posted the video, and somebody suggested we cut a hole in one of the shelves so that they can go up through them. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh yes, let's. And then, yeah, there's nothing on those walls. I took everything down when we painted like 3 years ago and never put anything back up. So I thought this would be a great cat wall.
Yeah. I love it.
He's trying to knock everything over. Why don't we take an early quick break?
Okay.
And we'll be right back to talk more about catification with Kate Benjamin. And we're back with 19 cats and counting. I was waiting for Linda to finish drinking her breakfast lunch here. And we're talking with Kate Benjamin of Hauspanther. If you haven't checked out Hauspanther, Haus Panther.com, there's some awesome ideas and a lot more information. But Kate, you are like the Uber catification goddess.
Well, thank you. I've been working on it for quite a while. I actually have my undergraduate degree is in interior design, which I never used. I went right into marketing and graphic design and PR and stuff and event planning. And then like 25 years later, I meet this guy, Jackson Galaxy. And he says, hey, we need to work together because I know what people need to do, but I don't know how to tell them how to do it.
Right.
And if they don't like it, they're not going to do it. So
Right.
I need your help. And so that's when we cooked up the idea of catification.
You dusted off that interior design degree.
I did. And
Nothing wasted. Nothing wasted.
Yeah. I was
kind of our thing.
Yeah, I was doing product design and stuff too in grad school. And so it all comes together because it really is, it's environmental design, it's product design, and all of my design background is what's called user-centered design, right? So you're really looking at sort of the ergonomics and the functionality and how it needs to work for the user. And in the world of cat products and cat furniture, there are two users, right? The cat, it has to do certain things for the cat, but the human has to purchase it. The human has to live with it. Like in the case of the litter box, the human has to clean it.
Yes.
So you really have these two different sets of needs that you have to cater to. So my design background actually really came in handy. And I had cats, and I couldn't, at the time in 2007, when I first started writing about this, I was having a hard time finding anything that I liked.
I know.
So I dug around and I just kept writing about cool things, and I found them, and then more and more showed up. And all of a sudden, we're in this world where you have endless possibilities of styles and budgets and everything you could possibly need.
Yeah, it used to be that you see things that either worked for the cat and were ugly, or were pretty and worked for the human, but didn't function the way a cat needs.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Your stuff is sturdier, as we've discussed. It's also, I just keep looking at thinking how easy that would be to clean. I hate it when they barf on a carpeted cat tree.
I know.
Even if they don't barf, even just getting the hairs that get stuck in a little carpet, it's an absolute nightmare.
I have a very powerful vacuum cleaner, and it doesn't touch it. I have to pull it out by hand.
Too far woven in. Hair is very powerful. I went to beauty school back in the 80s, aging myself. And it was common for the girls to get hair stuck in our skin and our stomach that out from other people that had to
Ew.
be tweezed out. That's how strong hair is at working its way
Ew.
through fibers. Yeah. Not my
Yeah.
favorite part. Note, I'm not doing
That's
hair
why
now.
she's not a
But-
hairdresser.
Exactly. Shout out to all my hairdressers out there tweezing this hairs out of their stomach.
Well,
So
cat
I
hair,
think it's
right?
okay.
We've all had
Right.
cat
There's
hair
nothing like cat hair.
everywhere.
Yes.
Yes.
You're wearing black. You're brave.
Well, most of my cats are black.
Oh, that works. That's the trick.
we have 5 black and 2 tuxedos. And
Aw.
then there's a calico here, there's
Yes.
a calico there, there's a gray
I
one.
honestly was going to ask you if that was a prop cat.
I
because
was
that
too.
Right?
cat
She looked fake.
moved an inch.
That's a real cat.
Yeah,
I thought it was a
Margot.
prop. I did.
I thought you stuck a stuffed animal on there for display.
Margot is one of my house ferals, actually. She's
Oh
not
my
really fond
goodness.
of people.
Well, she's
but she's doing
feeling
pretty
very
well.
calm and cozy today.
Right.
And then
Oh.
over here we have Jeremiah Beandip and his brother Horatio Queso, and their brother Pico de Gato is in the other room because
Oh, I love it.
Ah,
Linda has 4 black cats. I have 2. I also
Yeah.
have a tuxedo.
yeah.
But
I love
we
them.
love
Yeah.
I just wrote an article. I just refreshed an article about black cats and wrote a
Yes.
new article around it because it's Halloween.
Yeah.
You know, and people still have that old fear of black cats, but they, in my opinion, I know genetics coloring should have nothing to do with, you
Right.
know, how they are, but they're so sweet. Every black cat
They're
I've ever met
sweet,
has been just
yes,
adorable.
they're
And there's
so
several different
sweet.
types, you know, and I've had most of them. I just love them so much.
I do
They're
don't
just
too.
know.
love puns, right?
Yes.
I have to tell you, we had a client, I was telling you a little about this before, whose cat was peeing outside of the box. And when we started asking, you know, how many boxes, where are the boxes? Yeah, everything's in the garage. Everything. Now, it was a finished garage and yada, yada. The cat was not being put in the dungeon. But we know that the cats want to be with us. They don't want to go in the garage to potty. That's why we one on every level. Yada,
That's
yada,
why
yada.
my cat room up here was a total failure. 'Cause
Exactly.
I'm only up here rarely when I'm
Because
recording.
you're not in there, so they're not in there.
Right.
She had big plans for this room, and the cats were like, I'm not going in there.
Nope.
Nobody's in there.
Exactly.
So we could not get her. I never followed up with her because I'm sure she probably got rid of the cat and I don't want to know. But we could not get her to bring that stuff in. And she considered herself a fancy lady and she didn't want her house to look like, but I'm looking behind you thinking I could see that in a New York penthouse. It's so
For sure.
modern and pretty. I would totally not be surprised if I saw that in a New York penthouse.
So thank you. It's very
Sure.
sculptural, you know, and I think, and then this is another little pod that, from a different company, Pets and Pods. And so it all kind of, you can find all different things that coordinate together that are very beautiful
like
and
that.
sculptural, but
Yes.
still functional. But this also, I mean, this is a statement piece here. Like you
Mhm.
definitely see
For sure.
something going on. You see it's probably for cats versus over here. These are literally just shelves. They could be bookshelves, whatever, but I cleared them off. I
Mhm.
put non-slip, you know, carpet pads down. And now it's just this long, sleek, it doesn't scream cat. So if
Right.
somebody doesn't want it to really be catty, they
Mhm.
can absolutely just integrate almost a seamless hidden shelf in. And you don't know
Yes.
it's for cats until you see one walking across it.
Exactly.
Both versions. You can either celebrate, oh, this is for cats and we're doing it in a cool way, or you can be
Yeah.
like, oh, what? It's just seamless.
You know,
Can
there's
they
a
be painted? I'm
I was
sorry.
just gonna say there's a website that sells like high-end cat furniture, and I love one of their cat trees. One of my clients had it when I lived in LA, but it's just too rich for my blood. It's like $300.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
on the low end of some of the things.
I was
I
gonna say
know.
we've seen
I
some
can't
that
remember the
are
name
worse,
of,
but yes.
Well, there's
Was it
Tuft
refined
and Paw, who
feline?
I absolutely love. Tuft and Paw has like this scratcher over here, and they have a beautiful new carrier. I love everything really. There's of course the refined feline, who's one of the originals in the world
Yes.
of beautiful.
That's
cat
the one.
furniture.
Yes.
Yes, and they have the lotus cat tree with
Yes, that's the
That's
one.
the tree. How did
a
you
great-
know?
It's
that
so
is a
beautiful
contrast.
even in person because I've seen it in a few clients' houses. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and
I just
they
can't go
actually-
there.
They made one out of clear acrylic. Like they made one and they showed it, and then if you wanted one, you could custom order. I think it was $5,000.
I'm sure.
I mean, it's gorgeous.
It's
No,
yeah,
even if I
you
had-
got it,
Even if I had that kind of money, I wouldn't spend it on that, because I'm thinking, how many other cats could I help with that $5,000? And I
Yeah.
wouldn't buy it.
I'd
And I
probably still
get
get one
that.
that's crazy
I have-
expensive, just not that bad.
I have always gotten that comment from people like, how dare you write about a $5,000 cat tree? Do you know how many cats could be spayed and neutered or fed with that
Yeah,
money?
but somebody will
And
want it.
I absolutely get it. All I am doing is showing you inspiration.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
I just want to show these crazy things from Europe, just to show you what's possible. You
Mhm.
probably can't even purchase it from some of these European companies that I write about. They don't even ship to the United States.
Right.
So instead of getting upset, I encourage people to be inspired and then either
Yes.
create something on their own that is totally customized and within their budget, or find something. Now there are alternatives that are much less expensive. They might
Mhm.
not last as long, but they, you know, if you just have 50, 75 bucks to spend, you know, you can make it go a
Right.
long way.
Yes. Yeah. You know, people are going to spend what they're going to spend. And I have to say, if I was really like multi-million-dollar area kind of in my bank account, I would give to cats and probably buy the 5,000.
That's
Right.
a compromise.
I can do both because I have
But
a
isn't that
multi-million
why
dollar
we
bank account.
flip through design books, you know, even for our own homes? Nobody's
Yes.
expecting to buy that $5,000 bathtub, right? But it's an
Exactly.
inspiration of how things are put
Yes.
together, and you can find
Yes.
less expensive alternatives.
Yeah, and you can do, I mean, this, you know, this is all IKEA. Simple.
I know, I
Yes.
love it.
Yes.
So-
Yes, exactly.
Who would have thought of IKEA for cat furniture? I
I
wouldn't have.
know. And you can buy
Oh.
pieces a little bit at a time, right? I know.
Yeah.
I'm working on slowly building my wall. I have 11 cats who need to, yeah. And I have everybody from those that lay on the floor to those that want to be on the highest rung of the cat tree, to Kismet behind me is definitely one of your middle dwellers. He wants to be on the counter or the table or sitting behind me on
That's
the
my
chair.
Rosie.
Midway.
Where did she go?
He's
She
a
left.
mid.
I call that petting height.
Petting height. I
Ah.
like that. I
'Cause you can
like
just
that.
walk up. She's at petting height right now. but she
Yes.
doesn't like
Yeah.
So what do you think the most common mistake people make when they're trying to catify or give their cats things to do?
Well, definitely assuming that they can jump when you're talking about a superhighway or a walkway, assuming that they can jump a longer distance
Mhm.
than they really should. Yes, they can jump from the floor up to probably 5 feet, but if they're already up on a shelf, don't make them jump up to another surface that's 5 feet. Put more steps in between.
That's a
So
good
you want
idea.
to think about safety, and then you also want to think about, if you don't want the cat to go there, that's where they're going to go first. So you
That's
have
so
to
true.
make it absolutely impossible, or let it happen and make it happen in a safe way, right?
Right.
So think from any point along your climbing area, like the cat standing right there. Okay, where can I go? All the directions that I can possibly go in, and make the decision clear and safe. So so that's kind of one thing, like don't force them to do that jump when they're up on a place. Also, you might want to consider making things flexible or modular, so that you can change it over time, because of course as cats age,
Mhm.
their mobility is going to change, or maybe you add a new cat to the household and now you do need something that accommodates more of a kitten, or so things that nothing is set in stone. Think of it kind of as a working laboratory. And then back to the whole idea of don't get overwhelmed. Don't think you have to catify the entire house and then just stop and do nothing. Pick a tiny area, get started, and then watch what your cats tell you, because they will give you feedback right away. Well, maybe not right away. Give it some time. That's the other thing too. It's like, take a breath, let them get used to it. Don't freak out if they don't use it in the first 24 hours, and take everything down. Watch what they do, learn from what they're telling you, and then expand out from there.
Yeah, sure.
Very
It's
good
something
advice.
new in the household. It smells different. They've never seen it before. It takes cats a little while to warm up to those changes.
Yeah. Yeah. Get comfortable with them.
Yeah, but
You
that's
could always
my favorite part of catification, is when the cats do get it right away and they come out and they're just so excited for this
Yes.
new thing. And you know, when you're talking about building levels and walkways, you're essentially expanding the square footage of your house
Sure.
for your
Yes.
cats. So if you live in a small place, that's incredibly valuable. You're giving them a whole extra, story to run around.
Yes,
Now, these days,
exactly.
people live in smaller, especially like in New York City, they have the small apartments, and LA, you've got to have multiple roommates these days. That's why I don't live
In a
there
studio
anymore.
apartment. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. And we've had, was it rent.com reached out to us and asked us to
Yes.
give input on an article. They wanted to know, can a cat be okay in a studio apartment? Like, yeah, what you don't have horizontally, you go vertically, right? Just
Right?
They're
build
happy
up.
where you are. I mean, I have a 2,400 square foot house now. My cats spend most of their time downstairs and half of it. So the other half up here pretty much wasted space.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
true.
we're only in 1,100 square feet.
Mhm.
Now, I mean, we also have a 2,000 square foot art studio in downtown Phoenix where all most of our stuff is. So it's pretty much
Nice.
the cats here, but we have a giant catio. Everything is
Ugh.
extremely well catified, and there's 12 cats here, and everybody is, you can see here right now demonstrating, they're pretty
Yes.
good.
They
Now,
pick
see,
their levels and their spots. And
I
they're
lived in
okay.
a 2-bedroom, 1,000 square foot apartment for a long time I had 20, and then I got evicted, but that's a whole nother story. For years and years and years, I got away with it.
We got
Kate,
away with it for so long.
and then they
She
caught me,
did.
but that's okay. That's what got me the
That's
house.
what you got her house.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I kind of have no
Yes,
choice.
it
But
was,
I've seen people that have 3 cats in the studio, but they have it arranged such that there's enough space, nobody feels crowded. I wouldn't like suggest that somebody in a studio go out and get 3 cats, but
No.
they came to her honestly, kind of the way we
The
got
other
ours.
key to that is multifunction, right? So if
Mhm.
you're in limited space, you want to find something that serves all those purposes. So, if you can't hang things on the walls, maybe it is a tree that has a hideaway and levels and scratchers. If
Mhm.
you have the litter box in some kind of a enclosure, maybe it doubles as a side table.
I
or a
have
bench
that.
or something, right?
And that
Yeah.
I have 2 cubes on top of it. And so I have cats that like to be in the cubes or up on top. And in fact, that grad student that reached out to you, she's designing a new litter box type catio thing. It's kind of cool. And
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
we'll,
Yeah.
we'll see if it ever comes to market.
Yes. Her final thesis or something. Yes, exactly. But yeah, I've got some cats that love those cubes. And I took, when I was switching bedrooms and moving down to the first floor, I didn't have as much space. And I took a tall kind of a cabinet that I had that the TV sat on. And I was going to get rid of it. And then I thought, oh, I'll stick it in the hall and I'll make it the cat cabinet. I'll keep the cat's food and supplements and stuff in it. And then the only place I had space for it was really close to a window. And I thought, oh, they're going to love this. They're like 5 feet off the ground. So I laid a long bath rug on it so that cause it's got the kind of grippy underneath. And I put a cat cube and a cat bed on it. And yeah, it's the greatest thing ever. It's just repurposed furniture
Mhm.
That is
with
a
a bath
great
rug.
example. That's awesome.
Again, nothing wasted.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Like, what am I going to do with this thing? Oh, it'd be really nice to have all the cat stuff in one place, all the brushes and clippers and yada, yada. And then, oh, look, it can serve the cats too.
I love it. I love it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So we missed
Yeah.
seeing you at the CFA. But I know you had this awesome cat house there. We didn't get a chance to see it. But do you have any new projects you're working on that you want to talk about?
So that is actually that's really fun. The cat house with Catastrophic Creations. We built this kind of mobile cat meet and greet, sort of a mini cat cafe that we could pop up at different events. And we had a line the entire time, both days at the CFA show in Cleveland.
Right.
It was
We
so
can
much
attest
fun.
to that. We
Yes.
tried to get into
We
see it. We're
tried.
like,
Did you
gotta
we
get back
set
to
it up
our
so you can
booth.
peek in the windows? Did you look in the windows?
I didn't. Did you peek in the windows?
I didn't, because we
No.
needed to get back to Nikki.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to
we'll get
look
back
like
to
I was
our
pushing
booth.
in line. You know me around crowds. I'm
You're
shy.
VIPs. I could have gotten you in.
That's okay.
So that's a lot of fun. I actually, so not catification related, but cat art related. I'm very excited about, I'm working on a book on Karen Kuykendall, who is an artist who designed the Terror of the Cat People. And she did all of this fantasy illustration of these really exotic people who lived with all these cats. It was from the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Oh, I want to read that.
Oh, yes, you have to look it up. I did a big presentation on her for the Cat Writers Association conference last weekend because I'm working with the Mesa Historical Museum that has her entire collection. And so I did the presentation. She did these incredible like cat costumes that she would wear to sci-fi conventions with this. She did paper mache jewelry with big cat heads and stuff. And I mean, it's really kind of my favorite.
So
passion
cool.
project. Yeah. So I've
Yes.
been hanging out at the museum, digging through her archives, preparing all sorts of stuff. We'll be doing a cat festival at the museum in February of next year around a new exhibit of her work.
Nice.
Some education talks and stuff. So that's in Mesa, Arizona, end of February. That's one of my big projects. I also work with Greater Good Charities and Jackson.
Love Greater Good Charities. Every
yeah,
now and then
yeah.
we get a check from them, and I'm like, I
Yes.
don't know why we're getting a check, but
Oh,
We're
thanks.
so happy.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Well, the Jackson Galaxy Project is one of the programs as part of Greater Good Charities, and we have a course. It's like a 2-day workshop called Cat Positive 360, where a little team of us go around the country to different shelters,
Nice.
and then people from other shelters in the area come for the 2 days, and it is just a ton of great content all around the experience of cats in shelters.
Nice.
So I do the catification piece with Jackson, and then there's everything from behavior and clicker training and intake and all of this really important stuff. And so that's really fun to be part of that. And actually that's where a lot of the IKEA catification is coming in, because a lot of shelters don't have a big budget to do their cat
Exactly.
rooms.
Yeah,
So
they don't.
we want to give them really simple, inexpensive ideas where they can make the most of even just a closet for a meet and greet room, or if all their cats stay in cages, they can have some out of cage time. So that's a lot of fun. That's something else I'm working on.
I know the local shelter here has
Amazing.
cages, and it's not the
I
best.
hate
It's not the
it.
best
I
environment.
hate
So,
it.
where can people find out about these events? Do you have it listed on Hauspanther?
Yes, I'll list everything on Hauspanther and on social media, on Facebook and Instagram. And that's Hauspanther, Haus, the German spelling, which is a nod to the Bauhaus, the birthplace of modern design.
Okay, when did that cat turn around?
Wonderful.
You notice that?
She stood up and turned
He's
around.
facing the other way now. When did that happen?
The prop moved.
He
He
stretched.
did move. He's not a stuffed cat after all. I'm glad he did it. We were like, she's lying. But
Oh
She stood up
no.
and stretched. She'll have to go back and watch it.
Yes.
So cute.
I wanted to
Um,
ask, are those pieces behind you paintable?
So these from my zoo, these come in white, natural, and black, but you could easily paint them yourselves. There's another
Nice.
hexagon that I really like from Armor Cat. So Armor Cat is
Write that down, Linda.
well known for their carpet covered furniture, but they have a
Uh-huh.
new line that's entirely solid wood.
That's what
and
I want to
so-
go with.
You could stain it, you could just cover it in clear polyurethane for added durability, or you could paint it. I
Mhm.
actually did a whole installation with the Armor Cat stuff at the Barn House, Arizona. It's a rescue here in Peoria,
Uh-huh.
Arizona. And I could send you pictures. We
be
we
amazing.
painted all the hexagons in their bright, fun colors.
Yes.
And, they also have some hiding boxes that mount to the wall so cats can sit on top or inside, and some poles, some wall mounted scratchers. So
Very
yeah,
cool.
I'm really into, especially if you're going to use something like this that you're going to purchase in a shelter environment,
Mhm.
you usually need to add a couple extra coats of paint and polyurethane. You need
That's
to
what I was
seal-
thinking.
Yeah, if there are any internal like corners or cracks, you want to seal that with like a clear water-based silicone or a silicone
Yeah.
or water-based caulk, because then it will be much more easily cleaned and also more durable. Because, well, a shelter situation is not like a normal home, whereas we kind of live in shelter situations. So
Kind of sort of.
know,
We
yeah.
do that. We do.
yeah, the level of durability and sanitation that's needed when you have multiple cats in.
That's what I was thinking of.
Me
We know a
too.
lady in Texas who had a bad outbreak of pan-luke, and they were having to really reseal the
That's what I
floors
was
and
just
get
gonna
into
say. Out of my head,
everything.
woman.
So yes, so that's
Yeah.
exactly what went through my head.
Yeah.
When she said that, like,
Cynthia,
oh yeah,
the Sunshine Fund in
yes,
is she in
Texas.
Dallas or Houston? I
I
don't
am
remember.
Texas. Somewhere in
Texas.
Texas. That's all you're getting out of me. Texas.
Yeah,
It's
she had to
Texas.
throw out everything, and then she sealed
Ugh.
all the flooring in the room and all the woodwork and everything. And she lost a lot of kitties, unfortunately.
Yeah.
To what
Yeah,
was
so-
it? It wasn't fair.
Pan Luke.
Pan
Pan
Luke.
Luke.
The worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to make those kinds of environments, bulletproof. So either everything can be completely sanitized, or it's inexpensive enough that you can throw it away and replace it. So
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
it's very different. There's sort of like normal cat house, then there's like our cat houses, and then there's shelter and cat cafe level. when it comes
Exactly.
to durability and
Oh, we'll have to talk
Yes.
about the cat cafe level another time too, because that's part 2 of our goal at Cat
Yes.
Behavior Alliance. Part 1
Yeah.
is getting the shelter, the sanctuary, so that
Yeah.
senior and special needs cats have a cage-free home type environment to live in forever. And the other phase is people who don't seem to want to bother doing what they need to do to solve the behavior problems, but we could solve them and then
Yeah.
put them up for adoption in our cat cafe.
Yep.
Well, I've done a number of cat cafes and shelters. It's one of my favorite things to do now. I really am excited to see shelters and cat cafes really catify,
Right.
because they are showrooms and showcases for what's possible, right? So
That's
somebody's
right.
there adopting a cat, they look around and they say, "Oh, what's that? Oh, I could do that. That's really cool. Where'd that come from? I'm going to
That's
do that."
true.
And then they go home and they do it, and the cat doesn't come back.
That's a
Right?
great point. I never thought of it
Yes.
like that. That's
That
a great
is a
point.
good point. Well, and also, I'm sorry, but your cat behind you is much more attractive to me than a cat in a cage, right? I would be more drawn
Yes,
to that
yes,
sweet baby
yes.
sitting on that shelf.
There actually is part of what we teach in the cat positive workshop is tapping into like retail design principles, right? So there's actual research out there, both in the retail design world as well as in the cat sheltering world. The ASPCA did a big user study that looked at cats in cages. If you can picture a product in your home, you're more likely to buy it, right?
That's
So
true.
if you're
That's
in a
true.
cat cafe with the cat out like this, you can say, "Oh, I see this cat in my house. I see their personality better." Some of that research showed that even if a cat is in a cage, if there's a toy in the cage, even if the cat's not playing with it, the person was more attracted to spend more time looking at that cat.
That makes sense. I used to volunteer with Save a Life Rescue in LA at the Petco adoptions, and we found that, and also if we put a story and a name with the cat, they
Yes.
were more likely to get adopted than no name cat in a cage we don't know anything about.
Yeah, we don't know.
And that's
It's
something a
just
lot of
cat.
shelters are really, really starting to do a good job with. And if they can marry that with an environment that is inviting and comfortable for the visitors, a lot of the shelters that I've redesigned, when we walked in, it was fine. It was clean. It was organized. It worked really well for the volunteers and the caregivers, and pretty well for the cats, and zero consideration for visitors. So
Yeah.
if that space can also convey a certain brand image, it has a comfortable place for people to sit where they
I
can
like.
actually interact with the cats, then that's the goal. That's what we're going for.
Yes, that's perfect. So you do these workshops in shelters.
Mhm.
Have you ever opened them up to the public? Because this is something I
People
want
like
to go
us?
to.
I would
Like,
love to.
I'm like, I want to take this class. I want to do it.
Well, I will ask the powers that be and see
Please
what the
do.
options are. I know
Please
that
do.
if you're affiliated with a shelter and there's one in your area, you can attend it. So
That's
you just
amazing.
Well,
say
I'm in
Okay.
little Podunk, Lancaster, South Carolina, and Linda's in a little tiny city, Defiance, Ohio. So
Ohio.
I doubt
Exactly.
anyone's
Yeah.
coming here.
We don't
I-
look for anything
no.
anywhere near us.
But I am near Charlotte, North Carolina. Linda's in Toledo,
Coming-
so we could
I
look and see if
think
anything's
we're gonna
happening
be in
there.
Charlotte. I think there's
Oh,
a
Charlotte. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. See,
Yeah,
you're close
our
enough so you
little
can get there.
shelter here in Lancaster really, I mean, they did a new facility. They built a new facility and it's nicer, but I think they could use some of these tips, and I may just have to mosey on over there.
Are you
Share
anywhere near
something.
Asheville? Asheville.
I'm a few hours away from Asheville, North Carolina,
I
which is a gorgeous
recently-
area.
I helped design the House of Black Cat Magic. Did you hear about them?
No, tell us
It's a-
about that.
Really fun, and it's perfect for this Halloween week to talk about.
Yes.
So it's like a witchcraft supply store up front and a black cat rescue in the back. So it's Bink's Bink's Black Cat Rescue it's only black cats and kittens, and
I
they've adopted
love-
out dozens of cats since they just opened this summer. The rescue already
amazing.
existed, but then they moved into this space and created the House of Black Cat Magic in that really funky, cool part of Asheville.
I
All right,
love
Linda, next time you
this.
come
Next
down
time,
here,
road trip.
we're going to
We're
Asheville.
going. Yeah, we are.
Definitely.
We're going.
I haven't been there in
Yeah.
years, so yeah, this is awesome. I love this. I hate
Yes.
that we're about out of time. Do you have any last words of wisdom for people who really need to satisfy their cat's urge to do the things a cat does outside?
Well, I think everything that we're talking about here, catification, environmental enrichment, is not just about letting your cat just survive, right? You
Mhm.
want
Right.
thrive. Like
Yes.
any family member, you don't want them to just be hanging out.
That's right.
They're in a home, they're in your home. You want to give them the very best life they can. So that means playing and hunting and hiding and sleeping and resting and relaxing and stretching out and climbing and being interested and engaged. And as you both know, that will absolutely improve your relationship with the cat.
Oh,
So
definitely. And plus,
Yeah.
the indoor only cats, you don't want them to want to go outside. So you give them enough things to do inside. They have no need to go outside.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on our show. And, if you ever want to come back on and talk about your next project, sounds like you got a lot of irons in the fire we're looking forward to hearing about.
Yes.
We would love to have you back. And
Definitely.
Linda,
Thanks for having me.
Yes, it was our
anytime.
pleasure. We've
I'm
been
glad we
wanting
finally-
this for a while.
glad we
Great.
finally hooked up.
Yes.
Linda, as always, thank you for being my BFF and taking thoughts right out of my head. It's like we have this thought bubble and
We have one brain.
I don't know how we communicate silently when we're several states apart, but we do. Mark Winter, thank you so much for giving us this spot on Pet Life Radio, making us sound so awesome like you always do. And of course, remember, every day is Catterday. And we'll see you next time. Let me